and a brighter future for our families and our children. Bless this gathering, our candidates, our leaders, and our nation as we approach this important time. In your holy name we pray. Amen. And now to lead us in the pledge, our next U.S. Congressman Dave Taylor.
Morning, everybody. Please join me in stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Continue enjoying your breakfast. We're going to continue with the program because, believe me, our future senator has a long day ahead of him.
How you been, brother? Life is awesome.
I have the honor and privilege of introducing one of the bright rising stars of the Republican Party. You know him well. I know him well. This guy is so smart. He actually endorsed somebody else in my primary, and I thought about voting for the guy because Vivek Ramaswamy endorsed him. I managed not to.
Thank you.
But anyway, we're honored to have him here. He's going to share a few words with us now, if I understand correctly. Thank you very much. Everybody, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Thank you. Hey, I didn't even know that. I didn't know.
Let's give this man a round of applause. Let's send him to serve this country. I appreciate it. Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate it, guys. Home stretch. That's where we are. About 24 hours from the final day of the start of the most important election of our lifetime. And they say that every election. I think it's actually truer this time than any time in my lifetime, is that this isn't just one of those elections about increasing the tax rate 1% or decreasing it 1% in the other direction. This election's about the basic rules of the road that set our country into motion the first time around. I mean that. And I do think it's our 1776 moment in America. It's going to require our George Washington, that's Donald Trump, who, you know what, they shot at George Washington while he crossed the Delaware, they shot at Donald Trump on this path too. And we're going to send Donald Trump back to the White House for a second term. I'm confident about that, and Ohio is going to be sending a decisive message to the country. But he's not going to get to implement that second term agenda, which I think is going to be even more ambitious than the first. We're going to go far further in saving the country. But we're not going to be able to do it unless we have a decisive majority in the U.S. Senate. And the thing that makes Ohio special on the national stage this year is that we're not the state, thankfully, that has to decide the presidential election. We're going to deliver President Trump by double-digit margins. I'm confident of that. But we are going to be the state that decides who actually controls the U.S. Senate, who actually translates that Trump America First agenda into action. And that only happens if we send this man, Bernie Moreno, to the U.S. Senate and send Sherrod Brown packing. And Bernie, I haven't told you this yet with confidence. You know, I believe in truth. I can tell you now with deep conviction, we feel it across the state. You're going to do it. And you're going to do it not only tomorrow, you're going to do it with a margin that sends you with a mandate to Washington, D.C. And I think everybody here has a job to do because, you know, I like to analyze things. I'm not a politician. I'm a business guy, came from the world of biotech. I like to analyze numbers. All right, let me tell you something about the easy analysis of the numbers in Ohio. Trump's going to win by double digits. According to the polls, Bernie's neck and neck. He's just pulled ahead of Sherrod and right perfect time to do it for the finish line, but it's neck and neck. That means there are a lot of people still, shamefully, who are going to fill in the bubble for Donald Trump at the top of the ballot. That makes sense. But then shamefully are going to go and fill in the bubble for Sherrod Brown right next to him. That doesn't make any sense because Sherrod Brown voted not once but twice to remove Donald Trump from office after impeachment. So think about this. If you're voting for Sherrod Brown after voting for Donald Trump, you're literally negating your vote. You send him back, he's going to remove Donald Trump from office a third time again. So it just doesn't make any sense. And so obviously everybody here is going to be voting for Bernie. But I'm asking you in this final sprint, find anybody else who you know, because you're more likely to know Trump voters, who's voting for Trump but even thinking about voting for Sherrod Brown, and tell them exactly what he's going to do. He's going to vote to remove Trump a third time around. And if Bernie, everybody who votes for Donald Trump fills it in for Bernie, he wins by not only a landslide, but with a mandate to actually stand for our own core principles. He's not just another Republican that has another R after his name. I don't think we need too many more of those. He's actually an America First patriot who stands for this country over all other ones without apologizing for it. That's the job of U.S. elected leaders. We want the people we elect to run the government to be the ones who actually run the government, and for them to represent the citizens of this country rather than another one. I want to be very practical as we look at tomorrow as well. All the way down the ballot. There's one more issue that I'm actually very confident about Donald Trump, and I'm very confident about Bernie at this point as well. The one that I'm a little bit worried about, still, more than a little bit worried about actually, is issue 1 at the bottom of the ballot. We also have to protect Ohio. This is a left-wing plot to turn Ohio blue. They've tried it in the past, and it's never worked. But the difference this time around is they got money. They got real money on the other side, including a Swiss billionaire who's not even a U.S. citizen. I mean, in some ways, it ties to Bernie's vision for the country. We actually need people who care about this country rather than another one deciding policy decisions for the U.S. Well, here you got a citizen of another country spending $5 million in the state of Ohio to change the way we run our elections. That doesn't make any sense. So the way this is going to work is if issue 1 passes, the yes vote on issue 1, what does that get you? They would change the districting of our state to a group of 15 Anthony Faucis, who's a committee of unelected bureaucrats that could never be removed by the voters. Even if they commit a felony, we the people can't remove them. The only people who can remove them are their fellow bureaucrats. And it gets even worse. If you dare to talk to one of those bureaucrats, they will report you to the government. You can't make this stuff up. And so if you're voting for Donald Trump at the top of the ballot, you better darn well vote for Bernie Moreno right down. But go all the way down and make sure you're also telling all of our fellow Republicans across the state to vote no on issue 1. And if every Republican votes no on issue 1, we defeat it and protect this state. And this state, just like our country, we don't have to be this state in decline. We don't have to be this country in decline. In 1949, think about this, Ohio was the leading state in the Union. We were the only state admitted under Thomas Jefferson back in 1803. In 1949, 5 of the most prosperous cities in America were right here at home in Ohio. Toledo was the glass capital. Akron was the rubber capital. Cleveland and Youngstown, they were the steel capitals of the world. Dayton was the computing power capital, not from where we are right now. Cincinnati, where I grew up, it was the consumer products capital. 5 of the 10 most prosperous cities in America were right here in Ohio. Now it's none in the top 20. The story of what's happened in this state is what's happened across the country, but it doesn't have to stay that way. The way we're going to bring prosperity back to not only Ohio, but to the United States of America is by shutting down that administrative state, the regulatory state that has sucked the lifeblood out of our state and out of our country. I think the first step, and this is my message for you all today, is tomorrow is not the destination, actually. Tomorrow is the start line. The destination is after 4 years of Donald Trump and 4 years of Bernie Moreno leading in the U.S. Senate and enacting his agenda. We're not going to be this nation in decline anymore. We won't be saying make America great again. We won't have to. We'll just be saying make America greater. That's what we've always been. Pursuit of excellence, the pursuit of a more perfect union. Still on our way to that shining city on a hill. I believe that. I don't think that Ronald Reagan would come here today and tell you that it's morning in America, because it's not. I don't think he would tell you that the American dream is alive and well right now. It's not. It is alive and hanging on for life support. But it can be morning in America again. It can be alive and well again. And that's not just up to Donald Trump. That's not just up to Bernie Moreno. It's up to each of us. If we are going to be saved, it is going to be because we step up and save ourselves. And so if you all do your part, Donald Trump's going to do his, Bernie Moreno is going to do his, to make sure that our best days as a country are still yet ahead of us. And if we do, then we will look our kids in the eye and mean it when we tell them. I was with my 4-year-old son this morning before dropping him off to school. I went to practice tennis at Ohio State. Actually, Coach Ryan Day was with me on the tennis court this morning, and I drove straight here from there. I love this country in the sense of positivity that so many Americans have. I mean, most of us believe we're still the country where we will look our kids and mean it when we tell them that you get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that you're free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream we know. That is what we're running back to. And with your help tomorrow, it's not far away anymore, it's tomorrow. If you all do your part, you're going to vote, but bring 10 more people out with you. Not only get him to vote for Donald Trump, but send Bernie Moreno to the Senate and vote no on issue 1. We will save the state and save our country, and our best days will still yet be ahead of us. Thank you for everything you do, guys. I'm so proud of you. God bless you and our great state and our United States of America. Where's Coach Tuberville? Where's? Oh, Coach, you come on up here. There you are. Good to see you. Give a warm Ohio welcome to Coach Tuberville here. I saw him he had the funniest tweet the other day. You know, we have a lot of funny tweets, but I was with Coach Day this morning at Ohio State, but he was talking to Coach Tim Walz. That was from you, right? I saw that. I was scrolling through. You got me cracking up. It was the funniest thing. The Democrats, they use race and gender to select people. It never works out. And usually we're talking about Kamala Harris, but this time we're actually talking about Tim Walz. He also got it for the same reason. But he's supposedly a football coach. He says, we're entering the final quarter. He says, I don't think we say it that way. We call it the fourth quarter here. So he's somebody who actually is an actual football coach, but also more importantly, somebody who's a patriot who loves this country, who came here to make sure he has a good colleague working shoulder to shoulder with him to save our country. So thank you, Coach. Good to see you here, and give him a round of applause. Thank you. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Good to see you. Awesome. Don't y'all feel better after hearing him talk? I do. I feel a lot better. It's great to be here. I lived in Cincinnati for 4 years, 4.5 years, coached at the University of Cincinnati, had a great time, met a lot of great people, traveled all over this state. You've got a great state. It reminds me a lot of Alabama, a lot of rural areas, got a lot of farmers. I'm on the Ag Committee. I want to tell you that in the last 3 years, since Joe Biden's been in office, we've lost 150,000 farms in this country. They hate farmers. They want all food, meat, fish, anything to come from overseas. They want to take our farmland. Bill Gates wants to buy it all. Democrats want to buy it all. Unfortunately, we're selling a lot of our land to China. We've got to make sure that doesn't happen. Protect our farmers. We've got to protect our farmers. President Trump understands that. And believe me, our economy, we're printing $80,000 a second to keep this economy above board right now. Folks, we can't sustain that. Argentina did the same thing. They got to 70% inflation. And finally, they put a Donald Trump in as president, and he said, stop the printing machines. We've got to put people back to work. We've got to get people paying taxes to where we can control our own destiny. Right now, we're not controlling our destiny. A printing press is doing that because the Democrats want everybody to sit home on their ass and not go to work and write you a check. We've got to go back to work. People have to go back to work in this country. Our kids need to learn to go back to work. Half the people, maybe more than half the people in Washington, D.C. work from home. I don't know why we have those big, beautiful buildings up there. They don't make them come to work. We have 3,000 people in the agriculture, USDA, that handle our farmers. They come to the office one day a week to get their paycheck. Same thing for Social Security. We have 5,000 people who work for Social Security in Washington, D.C. They come to the office one day a month to get their paycheck. They work from home. You can't get them on the phone. I mean, it's unbelievable. We've got to go back to work in this country. We've got to go back. President Trump's going to win. But I'm telling you, I've been up there 4 years. I'm not a politician. I don't want to be a politician. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an American. I believe in this country. My dad died in the military. I'm all for our military. Our military is so woke right now, you can't believe it. What did we see 2 days ago? We didn't send enough ballots overseas to our military personnel to vote. I smell a rat. I smell a rat on that. Oh, we got to wait till all the military votes come in before we can name a winner in this race. But that being said, folks, this group does not like the United States of America that we all grew up in. You're born in this country, you hit the lottery. Nobody else has got it as good as us. And we're all spoiled. But we have to understand we got here because of the hard work and efforts of our parents and great-grandparents. So I've been in D.C. for 4 years. I've been in the minority for 4 years as a Republican senator. Schumer's kicked us in the face every day and told us this is the way it's going to be. Take it or leave it. I am sick of playing defense. It's time we play offense and get this country back going again. It's just unbelievable what they've done. 2 votes. Twice I put on the floor, men do not play in women's sports. It doesn't happen. Sherrod Brown has got up and debated me on that 100% for men playing in women's sports. They believe men can have babies. Now, people that believe that, you know, they really don't have any common sense. They have an agenda. So, I'm just here to tell you, we got to have a guy like Bernie Moreno there. Bernie is just like me. He's going to speak for you. He's not going to jump on the Rhino train or the neocon train. He is going to vote for the American people, for the people of Ohio. We have got to have that, folks. We got to have it. We can't have people like up there like Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham that are going to go with the wind, that want to stay up there forever. I tell the people of Alabama, I'm going to vote how I think you want me to vote, and if you want me to come home, please vote. Please vote me out, and I'll go home, because it is a hard job, but I'm doing what the American people want. I'm doing what the people of Alabama want. I want to get God back in our schools. I want to take our schools back over from these damn unions that have absolutely ruined our kids, because I saw it. I personally saw it. As a coach, I went in high schools all over this country, and I'm wondering, what in the world are we teaching these kids? I mean, look at these transcripts. There's no reading and writing. Half the kids in this country, folks, can't read past 6th grade reading level. And if you can't read, you can't make a living in the United States of America. So, that being said, you got to send us somebody like Bernie. We don't need Sherrod Brown up there anymore. I'm tired of listening to his voice. I'm tired of listening to him just be a follower. We need leaders. I am sick and tired of followers in the United States of America in the United States Senate. And that's the reason we need President Trump and we need Bernie Moreno. They have a plan. We got to get our identity back in this country, and we got to put people back to work, and we got to put good people in Washington, D.C. that's going to make those decisions. Bernie Moreno.
Thank you, Coach. I'm very blessed to have Coach Tuberville with me. Imagine that for the last 2 days of the campaign, after 2 years, I get one of America's best coaches on the sidelines with me, making certain that we run this through the tape. And we're right here, aren't we? Like, we're right there. Did you ever think we'd say, future congressman, by the way, your race, I think you're good. You're going to win, what, 80-20, I think, right? All right. Did you ever think we'd say, tomorrow it's all over? Tomorrow it's all over. 13 more hours of early voting. Well, where did your chairman go? Where'd he go? Oh, voting. Where'd he go? Where's your chairman? He left. Oh, he left. Okay. Look, you're doing a great job here in Hawking County. You got 7,700 votes in already. So we got to make certain that we find those other votes, make sure it happens. I want to also recognize our state reps that are here. You got Mark Johnson and Jay Edwards. Anybody else? I think there's two. Thank you. How many times has Sherrod Brown been here in Hawking County? Never. Think about that for a second. Do you think the media will report that? Can you imagine he's represented Ohio in the United States Senate for 18 years, has never been here in your community? That alone should be a disqualifier. I go to so many counties in Ohio where I'll talk to county commissioners who've been serving for 20 or 30 years. They say, I've never seen Sherrod Brown. I was in Richland County. Now, if you know, the county seat there is Mansfield. That's where he was born. Talk to the county commissioners there, have been there for 30 years. Sherrod Brown has been there once in 30 years, to his hometown. You know the idea that don't forget where you came from? Sherrod Brown has forgotten where he came from. He's forgotten that his job is to work for the people of the state, to work for the people of Ohio, to always put the interest of America above all else. We're in closing arguments time. We're at the point in the election where you have to simplify this whole thing to your constituents, ask for their vote. This is the one reason you should vote for me. And Vivek, you probably haven't seen this in the news, and I know, Coach, you haven't seen this in the news because it's so insane. So insane. Sherrod Brown, because we're going to both end the day in Cleveland tonight. So we started here in Hawking County. We're going to go up to Muskingum, Tuska, and then end the night where I live, 20 years in Cleveland. We're going to both have dueling events in Cleveland. His entire case that he's making, you ready for it? You should vote for Sherrod Brown because he sent hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine. Think about that for a second. That's his closing argument to the people of Ohio. Like, I've made the life of Ukrainians better. Vote for me. Now, somebody asked me, I think it was you, sir, that asked me why we hadn't debated. Now, I asked Sherrod Brown for 8 debates in the summer. I thought we should do one in every media market. Give people the opportunity to debate ideas. I think we are pro-immigration. He's pro-invasion. He wants an unlimited amount of illegal entries into this country with no vetting, no benefits to America, where they come here are completely dependent on our country. I believe that we should allow immigrants to come here if they agree to learn the language, assimilate, not take government benefits, add to our economy, and never, ever come here to lower wages for American citizens. I believe that the people of this country should have all the energy resources taken from America and never beg foreign countries for oil, for natural gas. And yes, we should have coal mines in America because coal is affordable, abundant, and reliable. Sherrod Brown, not ironically, by the way, wears a lapel pin with a canary in a coal mine. I think that canary is trying to point to Sherrod. Nobody has shut down more coal miner jobs than Sherrod Brown. He wants to currently, and I think, Jay, this may be in your district, he wants to shut down one of our biggest coal-powered plants in Ohio that produces 11% of our electricity. Wants to shut it down. You know what that would do to our energy prices? And by the way, how are we going to reindustrialize this country? How are we going to bring manufacturing back? We're not going to do it on the backs of windmills and solar panels. This is what Sherrod Brown's all about. He's all for the Green New Deal. How does that help working-class Americans? How many working-class Americans do you think wake up every day saying, I'm going to go buy myself an electric pickup truck? Right? Listen, I sold a lot of automobiles in my life. That's why Sherrod Brown calls me a used car salesman, which, by the way, I'll take a used car salesman over a career politician every single day. Every day. I wish Sherrod had just spent one day in a showroom. Because if he had seen who comes in and buys pickup trucks, it's nobody who wants it to be electric. You want the biggest possible diesel, right? A Ford Raptor R with 800 horsepower. That's the kind of pickup truck people want to buy, not some electric pickup truck they have to recharge every 100 miles, right? That doesn't tow anything. Right? That's not what people want, but that's what Sherrod wants. Then you look at the issue of peace around the world. Sherrod bragging about sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine is so insane to me. Because the reality is his president, his presidential nominee, that is the reason Russia invaded Ukraine. It's their fault, their weakness, their embarrassing withdrawal from Afghanistan, their green lighting of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that emboldened and enriched Putin. That's why it happened in the first place. And for him to brag, think about how sick this is. The party of peace, supposedly, for them to brag that he sent hundreds of billions of dollars to a war that has now led to the death and injury of 1 million Eastern Europeans. Has taken his donor money to hire an airplane to circle Cleveland for the last 3 days, saying Moreno's for Putin. Because I want the war to end. I want to end the killing of people in Eastern Europe and not have us send hundreds of billions of dollars that are probably going to oligarchs, our money to fund the pensions of Ukrainians, the police officers of Ukraine, when we have our own needs here in America, and we have the ability to end that war. There could not be a greater contrast. Now look, you've gotten so many ads out there, so much negativity, but if you notice, there hasn't been one single ad where Sherrod Brown says, I disagree with Bernie's positions on these policies, because he can't. And that's why he couldn't get on a debate stage with me, because he just can't defend his record. Much like Kamala Harris, where they say, well, they're running from their record. No, they're not running from their record. They're lying about their record. These are the most extreme left-wing lunatics we've ever had at the top of the ticket in American history. 15 or 20 years ago, somebody like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz would have been a fringe third-party candidate that nobody could have ever imagined voting for. These are people who have ideas that are so bad, they would almost be unrecognizable in America. They'd be more likely to be in Venezuela. Maybe in Massachusetts, in Martha's Vineyard, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz would be popular. Those ideas, which of course is ironic because you can't make this up, department. You know, they sent 80 illegals to Martha's Vineyard. You remember that story? Do you know that they were removed from the island within 24 hours? But that's not the worst part. They made a movie about it, talking about how great they were for welcoming the illegals for 24 hours, right? I mean, you can't even make that up. But those are the people who fund Sherrod Brown's campaign. Those are the people who Sherrod Brown goes to for money. Those are the people that he is ultimately accountable for. I'm going to be on the side of the working class. I'm going to be on the side of the people who want to make this country their home, that want to be able to dream the biggest dream they possibly can and make that happen. So we're at the closing hours here. Here's your homework assignment. We're at a great place to eat, by the way. And I said to the staff, I said, no fried chicken? And the fried chicken is the best fried chicken in Ohio. Right? I'm trying to make this speech longer so we flip into lunch so we can serve the fried chicken because this is the place to eat. So let's give them, by the way, a round of applause. Great job. And the only reason I'm so wired this morning is he just made me a chocolate chip pancake. That was so good. That was unbelievable. Look, we have so many great places in Ohio. Drew, thank you for your support, by the way. You've been a great county captain here. Thank you. You're going to make a great commissioner. You make a great vineyard owner, a great restaurateur, a great fair guide. I can't even imagine what you'd be like as a commissioner. So we have great candidates. We have great Americans and great Republicans. And look, here's where we are. We're almost at the finish line. We've got to run through the tape. So here's your homework assignment. Can you find 10 people, like Vivek said earlier? Find 10 people. Like, leave here today. There's no voting today. No voting today. It opens at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow. Think of 10 people in your life where you think, can I trust them to vote? Like, they told me they're going to vote, but can I really trust them to vote? And here's a statistic that we, out of some research we did, which blew my mind. For every 100 Republicans that say they're going to vote, only 80 actually do. For every 100 Democrats that say they're going to vote, 98 actually do. We don't have a second shot on Wednesday, the day after tomorrow. We only have one shot tomorrow. So leave here, write down the names of 10 people, and then call them on the phone. What time are you voting tomorrow? I'm not sure yet. How about if I pick you up at 9? How about 10 o'clock? Is 10:15 better for you? And if they have kids, say, oh, no, the kids, I got the kids. I'm going to come over and watch your kids while you go vote. I will give you a ride. Take the day off tomorrow. Make it a national. We don't have to wait for the government to make it a national holiday. We could just not show up at work tomorrow and all go vote. This is the election of our lifetime. This is the election of our lifetime. And I'll tell you this, the world is watching. The world wants to know what kind of country is America. Is America the kind of country that made my mom and dad pack up 7 kids and move them to a different country because they knew it was a place of unlimited opportunity? The place where, on earth, uniquely, where you can dream whatever you want to dream and make it happen. Or are we on the verge of our 250th anniversary going to be the country that goes down the path of socialism and communism, of government control, like every other nation on earth? Now, I am feeling extraordinarily optimistic because I think Americans always get it right. Americans have an intuitive sense of what this country should be, can be, and will be. But it doesn't happen by itself. It happens because everybody plays a role. On Wednesday morning, I know that Bridget and I will wake up and say there's nothing we could have done. We shouldn't have. Could we have gone to the Hocking County Fair? Oh, we did that. Could we come to the dinners? Yes, we did. Could we come visit every county multiple times? There's nothing that I think I could have done more. And I'm asking you to feel the same way on Wednesday morning. Take the pride in knowing that you uniquely, think about how crazy this is. 8 billion people on the planet. 8 billion people on the planet. 180-ish countries, who knows? And yet, Ohio gets to decide which party controls the United States Senate, which then changes the course of human history. Ohio gets to do that. And we get to do that tomorrow night. So here's my closing argument. We talked about school choice, Coach, right? You talked about how important it is for parents to be able to send their kids to any school they want. Bridget and I got to tour a charter school on the west side of Columbus, which, by the way, Mark and Jay, you guys were instrumental in making that school exist, and you changed those kids' lives. There's 60 kids in that school today that, because of your votes, those kids now have a shot at a totally different life. And Jason Stevens as well. You voted for that bill as well. That is unbelievable. So Bridget and I go there. The facility's amazing. These kids are learning. So the principal says to me, I'm going to tour you around the school, but just know these are 6-year-olds. So you're not talking to people who know a lot about politics. They may not even know what your race is about, what the Senate is. So I'm going to introduce you. We'll say a few words. We'll set it up. And I go, oh, this is great. I walk into the first classroom. 20 kids' hands go up in the air. I'm like, my gosh, these kids are really engaged. And the principal was kind of surprised. So she goes, what would you like to say? That's Bernie Moreno. I said to myself, too many ads. And I said to my campaign team, we may have overshot Disney Plus streaming. All right, that was right. And then so I go to the next guy. I go, what would you like to say? You're running for the United States Senate. And I said, my God, that makes you smarter than Joe Biden already, right? I mean, these 6-year-olds in Columbus, Ohio. And then the third kid, what would you like to say? He goes, you're running against Sherrod Brown. I said, my God, this is great. Again, this is the principal was actually completely flabbergasted. But the closing argument wasn't made by me. It wasn't made by my brilliant campaign strategist or my amazing campaign staff, which they are amazing. It was made by a 6-year-old in Columbus, Ohio. Because when I called on him and I said, what would you like to say? He said, you're going to win because Sherrod Brown is just too liberal for Ohio. And that's the whole deal right there. Thank you, Hawking County. Thank you for being here. Thank you again to the staff. Appreciate all your work.
Excuse me, folks. We're going to be doing a photo line. Please line up over here by the speaker. We'll walk you through and take a picture.
Which school is it?